friends, welcome to another installment in my romance trope video series where I talk about a common trope in romance books and give you some of my favorite recommendations with that trope. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a big fan favorite, that is enemies to lovers. So tell me why, when I was looking through all my romance books for enemies to lovers books I've enjoyed, I found like all of these. Well, one reason might be that they all stem from the original enemies to lovers romance, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I mean, this is kind of a great place to start because I feel like this sparked so many other iterations of this kind of relationship of people who don't like each other, who don't get along, who end up falling for one another, and like, I can't get enough of it, and I feel like that's true of a lot of other people as well. So today I have many books to recommend to you that have enemies to lovers, and for this video I have so many, so I'm going to divide this up into contemporary romance, historical romance, and speculative romance, which includes sci-fi and fantasy. Let's start with contemporary. My first recommendation is a Harlequin category romance where the hero and heroine are from families that are literally feuding. So if you want something that's more akin to almost Romeo and Juliet, you might try Off Limits Attraction by J.C. Lee. This is definitely fun. The hero and heroine are working together on producing a film. They are not supposed to be together. She doesn't know who his family is, but if she did know, everything would be called off. It's not very long, it's kind of spicy, and it's a lot of fun. Two of my recommendations for this are by Lucy Parker. I have the Austen Playbook and Headliners. I think both of these show you the different degrees of enemies to lovers. This one is kind of like rivals to lovers. He's grumpy, she's super happy and sunshiny. He's a theater reviewer and she's an actress, and he had been critical of her performances. So they don't like each other very much. They're not exactly full-blown enemies. They don't hate each other, but they definitely don't get along and kind of dislike each other. But it ends up being a really cute romance where they're working together to solve a mystery. Headliners, on the other hand, she actually has a reason to hate him because of something that he did. There is some true antipathy between these two characters, and they are forced to work together on a television show competing for the same job. This might be a little too intense for some of you if you don't want there to be a big conflict between your two people, but I really enjoyed it, so I think both of these are great picks. Another book that's a slow burn, opposites attract kind of enemies to lovers where they just don't like each other very much or don't get along very easily because they're opposites is A Duke by Default by Alyssa Cole. This is my personal favorite book in the Reluctant Royals series. It's set in Scotland and the hero makes swords, like he's a modern day blacksmith. Hashtag sword bae, if you know, you know. I really love this a lot. Again, it's definitely more of a slow burn, so if you're looking for that where they like kind of snipe at each other but eventually fall for each other, check this one out. Another good one is The Wedding Date Disaster by Avery Flynn. This is a great romantic comedy that is really fun where there's two brothers who are twins and the heroine is best friends with one of the twins, but the other twin hates her and thinks that she's a gold digger trying to get with his younger brother, even though they're actually just friends. So she invites the guy that she's friends with to be her date to a family wedding. But instead, when she goes to pick him up from the airport, guess who's there? Yep, the brother who hates her and thinks she's a gold digger. This was a lot of fun, really enjoyed it, definitely has that kind of rivalry, enemies to lovers. It also has the only one bed thing where they're like forced to share a room with one bed. It's fun, it's good. Another one that I have to put on here because she is one of my favorite contemporary authors if you like melodrama, but Cynthia Williams is fantastic. This one is Careless Whispers, probably my favorite book in the series so far. It's got a prickly heroine, it's got enemies to lovers. The entire series honestly is fantastic and I've been pushing it on everybody. It follows an elite Black family in the American South and there's lots of secrets, lots of family drama. It gets messy, but it's so much fun. Final contemporary suggestion is The Wedding Party by Jasmine Guillory. She is kind of hit and miss for me, and I think she is for a lot of other people as well. Not everyone liked this as much as I did, but this really kind of hit my personal trope buttons of things that I enjoy. This one is enemies who end up in a secret relationship. So they don't like each other, but then they sleep together and don't want their friends to know that they're continuing to sleep together. So they're like trying to hide the relationship, which leads to some like wild antics. I thought it was hilarious, as well as the fact that the hero in this book is nerdy and into spreadsheets, but also super hot. I enjoyed this one a lot. I think it's a good one. Next, let's talk about speculative romance, because I actually only have 2 books that I want to talk about today, and they're in the same series. We have Slave to Sensation and Branded by Fire by Nalini Singh. These are both part of the Psy Changeling series, which I absolutely love. This is the first book in the series, and this is like, I don't know, well into it. And both of them are enemies to lovers. This series is really interesting because it crosses a lot of different genres. It's like sci-fi meets paranormal meets romantic suspense all in one series, and I just love it. I love the characters, I love the communities, and the way she tells stories I just think are fantastic. It's set in an alternate version of Earth quite far in the future, where humanity has diverged in 3 ways. There's the regular humans, then there are the Psy, who have these psychic abilities but have trained their children out of feeling any emotion. They're not supposed to feel emotion. And then the changelings, who are basically shifters. They can shift in different animals, and they're all about emotion. They run on emotion and have lots of feelings. And so of course in the first book in the series you have a Psy and a changeling. The Psy is feeling things and hiding it because she's not supposed to be feeling things. And then of course she's having to work with a shifter who is actually her enemy, but there's chemistry, and it's great. I really love it. Branded by Fire is interesting because it's between 2 changelings, but they're both kind of strong alpha personalities, and so they don't get along well. They're kind of enemies and rivals, but they eventually fall for each other. So check out the Psy Changeling series, and if you like enemies to lovers, these 2 books are ones to look forward to. Finally, let's talk historical romance. First up, I have Some Like It Scandalous by Maya Rodal. This is a fun one because it's about a nerdy entrepreneurial heroine who's into like science and has business ideas, and a hero who's kind of a rake, and they're sworn enemies. They don't like each other, but for reasons they end up having to work together. And actually, now that I think about it, they also have a fake engagement in this book. So this also has a fake relationship element to it, but I really love this. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's set in New York's Gilded Age. Another option is Born to be Wild by Eloisa James. This is part of a series, and I think what's interesting about this one is the 2 characters are ones that you've seen kind of snipe at each other throughout the earlier books. And in this book, for reasons, even though they snipe at each other and don't really like each other, the heroine has to ask the hero to marry her, and he turns her down, which makes her so angry. And then, you know, things happen. It's fun. If you want one where the heroine literally ties the hero up on his own ship so that she can steal it, you might try Destiny's Captive by Beverly Jenkins. She steals his ship and then he swears revenge. But along the way they end up falling for each other. He does also blackmail her, which might bother some people, but I don't know. I didn't take it that seriously, and I thought it was fun. Another enemies to lovers story is book 2 in the quite popular of late Bridgerton series, The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. This is Antony's story, and in this book, he wants to have a marriage of convenience with a young woman who's kind of the belle of the season, but her older sister is like, no. You are not good enough for my younger sister. I'm sorry, this is not happening. She deserves love. And then, of course, the 2 of them have chemistry. It's pretty great. I will say, even though mostly I enjoyed the book, there are a couple of scenes where Antony gets pushy with her in terms of like physical things, and I'm like, dude, you need to chill and back off and like do a better job of getting like active consent. But these books were written in the early 2000s, so part of it is they are a product of their time, I suppose, but you know, it's good in terms of an enemies to lovers story. A great historical enemies to lovers story, if you want something that does not have any steamy scenes on the page, is Lakeshire Park by Megan Walker. This is part of the proper romance line from Shadow Mountain Publishing, and it's one that I really enjoyed quite a lot. The heroine of the story has a younger sister who she is determined to get married off to save them financially to this young man at a house party. Unfortunately, there's another guy who's a guest at the same house party who's there determined to get his younger sister engaged to the same man. So the hero and heroine are rivals with trying to get their younger siblings engaged to the same person, but then of course sparks end up flying between the two of them. I really enjoyed this a lot. It was a really cute romance and a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a good enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers story without any steamy scenes, check out Lakeshire Park. Another one that I want to talk about is less of a full enemies to lovers story. It's something where the two characters, when they first meet each other, don't like each other, but things kind of change and get complicated. I'll explain. This is An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. It's historical fiction set during the Civil War. The heroine is a young Black woman who is working as a slave but is secretly an undercover spy for the North, doing a really dangerous job. While on the job, she ends up encountering a white man who turns out also to be a spy, but she doesn't necessarily know that at first. So it's a story of forbidden love where they're both doing this really dangerous job in a dangerous situation, but they have quite a steamy romance that develops with each other. I thought this was really well handled, and it's definitely a book where I think you could easily have issues with power dynamics, especially given the racial piece of it during this time period, but I think Alyssa Cole kind of nails it in terms of the way she handles it. Really love this one and would recommend. My final recommendation for you is a holiday romance novella that is just fantastic. This is A Kiss for Midwinter by Courtney Milan. For a very good reason, the heroine greatly dislikes the hero, who is a town doctor. So this is also a good one if you're looking for a historical romance that's not about the gentry. This is not, but she dislikes him for reasons, and he slowly wins her over. It's really beautiful and romantic and around the holiday season, so definitely another one I would recommend. We did it. I didn't know if we were gonna make it through all of my enemies to lovers recommendations, but hopefully you found some new ones to check out across all different subgenres. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on anything I talked about in this video. And for your question of the day, tell me about your favorite enemies to lovers romance. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.